Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas. This episode is also brought to you by Peghead Nation, the home of roots music instruction. If you want to improve your playing, join me and thousands of other pickers getting better every day at pegheadnation.com. Hi, this is Matt, and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who loves bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is your Bluegrass Briefing for Monday, October the 14th, 2024. And if you've missed any of the stuff on the podcast recently, there's a couple of bits to look out for. One is the Roots Revival episode I put out last week, chatting to Christina Gaddy and Lillian Werbin all about their kind of variety of panels they put together for IBMA, chatting about the sort of history and present and future of black string band music. Fascinating stuff. Do go and listen to that one if you missed it. And also the IBMA roundup that I put out a week before that, just chatting to various people there as well. I love doing those episodes. They're really cool. Do go and listen to those. I've got a new interview coming for you on Wednesday with Daniel Patrick of the Mandolins and Beer podcast. He's got a new record coming out called Round the Clock, which features 11 tracks of him duetting with some of the best mandolin players out there. Very exciting, and really cool to chat to him about that. I've bumped into Daniel at IBMA before. He's been on the podcast a couple of times, and he's always good for a chat. Really good talking to him. So look out for that on Wednesday. Really cool episode coming up. But that is it for the brief sort of pod news intro. Let's go to Church Street News, which is news and announcements. And the first bit of news is actually also podcast news, and it's to launch a little project that I've been putting together over the past week or so, and it's around the Hurricane Helene relief efforts, and it's going to be a benefit episode for that. And it's when I was out in the States for IBMA, I had a fantastic time. It was wonderful. I had a real moment wandering around the street festival one afternoon. It just sort of realising how much I felt like I belonged to the world of string band music, and it was really powerful and quite moving, really. I spend so much time getting on with doing the podcast, I don't often stop and reflect. And it's only been 3 years, and I've been nominated for 2 IBMA awards and won one of them, and felt so extraordinarily welcomed by the world. And while I was out there, part of the street festival was cancelled because of, adverse weather, because of the hurricane, and then sort of coming back after that and seeing just the footage and the devastation that has ripped through that area that is so rich in bluegrass and string band tradition. And so many of the performers at IBMA, so many of the people who were there, have friends, family from that area themselves, just seeing what a devastating effect the hurricane had on them. And the news cycle moves on, and, there's been another hurricane since, there's an election coming up, and the world's focus shifts, and just it's going to take a long time to rebuild some of those places, some of those lives, for people to get back on their feet. None more so than many of the musicians from that area who are really badly affected, and I wanted to do something to help. I'm aware this isn't the biggest podcast in the world, and I don't have the hugest audience, but I feel like there's something I can do that will help with the efforts, and so I am. I'm going to put together a special episode featuring Bryan Sutton, who is obviously bluegrass royalty, but is also from Asheville, North Carolina, which is one of the places hit hardest by the hurricane. And what I thought I would do is I would give you lot the opportunity to interview Bryan. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to put a page up, there's a link in the show notes, where you can go and donate, and we're going to give all the proceeds to the IBMA Trust Fund to help people suffering the after effects of the hurricane. And everybody who donates gets to ask a question, and I will put as many of them as I can to Bryan over the course of the episode. And if you donate, whatever you donate, however tiny it is, whatever, you will get a thank you in the episode as well. And I'm really pleased to be able to do this, and I'm so pleased that Bryan was up for doing it. I wanted to do something, and I think this will be a fun way of doing something that acknowledges it, and but is also a really cool, interesting episode, and a chance for some of you to ask some questions, because I'm sure all of you will have some questions for Bryan Sutton. I have loads, and I will get out of the way this time, and I will ask him your questions. So just let me know, what do you want to know about? Strings, picks, guitars, favourite pickers, favourite songs, sessions he's done, tips for anything, within reason. But, ask Bryan some questions, let me know. I'll stick a link in the show notes to how you can get involved and donate to the GoFundMe project. And as I said, all of the proceeds will be going to the IBMA Trust Fund, and they will be helping as many people as they possibly can. So, yeah, that's that. I'm pleased do donate if you can. I'm sure some of you have donated to fundraisers already. I'm sure, money is tight, so no pressure. But if you feel like you can donate something, please do. And if you feel like you can share this with people, please do that as well. It would be a huge help. We're going to try and raise whatever we can. So there's that. That will be out in a couple of weeks. I'm going to leave it a week or two to collect questions together and do the interview. And I will tell you more about that. There'll be much more on the podcast and on my social channels about this over the next couple of weeks. But I'm delighted to announce that is going live today. Also in news and announcements this week, there's a thing called the Appalachian Allies Benefit Concert, which is hosted by Daniel Kimbrough and Sam Lewis. And it's a benefit concert celebrating the resilience and strength of the Appalachian community, and all the proceeds go directly to the East Tennessee Foundation's Hurricane Helene Disaster Relief Fund. That aims to support both immediate and long-term recovery efforts in the region, and that long-term thing is so important. I think long after people have stopped talking about this, there will be life-changing effects to be dealt with. So go and have a look at that. Link in the show notes for that as well. That sounds like it'd be a very cool concert, featuring various people. Daryl Scott will be there, Jerry Douglas, Larkin Poe, and Sarah Jarosz as well. And that is happening at the Bijou Theatre in Knoxville on Sunday, October the 27th. But yeah, as I say, link in the show notes. Do go and check that out. Next, there's one more thing actually I wanted to mention. Is I've talked about this on the podcast before. The Punch Brothers and Chris Thiele's Energy Curfew Music Hour podcast. I thought this was going to be just on Audible. It's not. It's also on Apple Podcasts, so I'm presuming it's various other places too. But it's out now, and rather than release it an episode at a time, it all seems to be out in one go. And I've listened to the first one, and I very much enjoyed it, featuring Madison Cunningham and Lewis Cato as guest artists. And it's Punch Brothers, playing some songs, doing some sketches, talking to some musicians and playing with them, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I've got another 7 of those to listen to, and I can't wait. Do go and check that out. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes to various places you can find that. But now that is it for news and announcements. So let's move on to The Grass is New. And there's just a couple of bits to mention, is that Brennan McMillan's album Dear Life is coming out on the 18th, which is Friday. If you remember, I chatted to Brennan at the IBMA episode a couple of weeks ago about the record. So do go and check that out this week. I'll remind you again when it comes out. And also a new single from Bob Minner featuring Jesse Smathers called Ruby Jean, which I've added to the Grass is Mostly New playlist. Got to meet Bob at IBMA. I've chatted to Bob for some time now. He's been on the podcast. We talked about his wonderful Norman Blake tribute record, and he also came on and chatted about Tony Rice with me. And yeah, I really like Bob. I think he's not only a great musician, he's just really cool to chat to as well. So I'll put his new song in the playlist. Go and have a listen and enjoy that, like I am. That is it, really. All the new stuff is on the Grass is Mostly New playlist, which is a Spotify playlist with a link in the show notes. Final bit is Scroll On Buddy, which is just what I've spotted on social media. And the thing I've spotted actually this week is just a post that Billy Strings put up about his new record, his new album, which is called Highway Prayers. And just he was listing the achievements and how amazed he was. It's number one in top album sales, vinyl albums, bluegrass albums, current country album sales, Americana and folk album sales, and he goes on and on. And it's just, I think it's cool, because debate rages about what is bluegrass, what isn't bluegrass. But I think what we can all agree is that Billy is steeped in the music and loves the music, and whatever he chooses to do, whatever he wants to do and whatever he wants to call it, there's a rich seam of bluegrass at the heart of what he does, and it is bringing people to the music. And as we say, a rising tide lifts all ships, and I think it's a great thing. And so just congratulations to Billy on reaching that sort of audience and like managing to do it while still doing shows with like some of those songs that he loved as a kid in, and managing to be all those things at the same time. It's impressive. So more power to him. That is it. Just the final bit is the In My Ears This Week bit, which is what I've been listening to, and it's an old CD from I think 2000 that I found randomly somewhere called The Art of Traditional Fiddle, and it's part of the Rounder Heritage series, and it's just exactly what it says it is. It's a collection of recordings of traditional fiddle playing, I think all of which I hadn't heard before, and loving listening to that. It's the kind of CD that's got really cool sleeve notes and tells you a bit about the styles and the performers and all of that, so I've been really enjoying that. So that's The Art of Traditional Fiddle, part of Rounder's Heritage series. I'm sure some of you will know that. But that is it. All the usual stuff applies about the website. You can sign up for the mailing list. There's links to everything, all the episodes, all the Jam Along tracks, all the interviews are there. Please do check out the link in the show notes for the fundraiser with Bryan Sutton that I'm putting together. That is live now. Please donate if you can. Please share it if you can. That is it. I'll see you on Wednesday for the Mandolins and Beer, the Daniel Patrick episode. Looking forward to that one very much. In the meantime, have a great week and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collings Guitars and Mandolins, making some of the finest guitars and mandolins in the world since the 1970s. Visit collingsguitars.com and find out why.